Rolls-Royce wants to go for lunch. But instead of me getting the train into London and going to a restaurant, they do things a little bit differently because they're Rolls-Royce. They've sent a car for me to drive there, and someone didn't drop it off and get the train home. They sent it in a massive truck, a huge 50-foot truck. Just for me, just for this car. It's a Ghost Black Badge, or Black Badge Ghost as Rolls-Royce insists you say. It's the new one. Came out last year in 2024, and I missed the launch. I wasn't able to go to the press drive, so Rolls-Royce said, well, why don't you borrow one for a few hours? So this is the Ghost. It's the, dare I call it, the entry-level Rolls-Royce. It's the most affordable Rolls. It's the most accessible Rolls-Royce. It's not the Phantom, it's not the Cullinan, it's not the Electric Spectre. It's the one that for a long time people knew as being a car based on the 7 Series BMW. Now it's its own car. And this one, the Black Badge variant, is the slightly sportier version. Of course, we see Black Badge being used across the Rolls-Royce brand these days. There's a Spectre Black Badge, Cullinan Black Badge. There's not a Phantom Black Badge. That doesn't really work, does it? There's no such thing as a sporty Rolls-Royce. How would you describe it? Slightly more willing, perhaps. More of a driver's car, but let's not kid ourselves, it's not a Lotus. If I remember right, there's a low mode here on the gear stalk. You use that to engage a low mode, which, if I remember rightly, gives you a bit more urgency to the accelerator and I think a bit more firmness to the suspension as well. Black Badge also means all the details on the outside that would have been chrome are black. So the Spirited Ecstasy at the front there is black. All the trims around the doors and all the outside, the grille even, is black. And inside too there are black details where before there was chrome. So the air vents here, the lovely organ stop controls that you push in to stop the airflow and pull out to increase. That's where pull out all the stops comes from. It's to make your organ louder, or in a Rolls-Royce it's to make your air conditioning stronger. This generation of Ghost has an all digital driver display behind the steering wheel. No more analog dials. These, oh, they're beautiful. The colours, the iridescence of it. I can see a lot of reflection. I can see what I'm wearing as much as how fast I'm going. Perhaps that's what a Rolls-Royce driver likes. And of course you have the old Rolls-Royce trinket of the power reserve meter. There's nothing as brutish as a rev counter. No. You have a power reserve dial, which most of the time says you've got about 90% of the engine's power in reserve. You know, just in case. This is quite a tricky area to drive a big car. I'm in the centre of Faversham, and there are lots of small roads, lots of narrow streets, lots of parked cars. And as ever though, with a Rolls-Royce, you just get used to it really, really quickly. It's a big car, really big. The mirrors are good, the steering is good. I've got the seat really high, as you've probably noticed, just to help out a little bit. Here the engine, every so often, there's that 6.75 litre twin turbocharged V12, huge amounts of power, 592 horsepower, boatload of torque, 0 to 60 in, I think 4.8 seconds, 155 miles an hour. So it's a quick thing. Once you've started moving and settled down, the engine is so quiet and so smooth. More Black Badge details include the sort of carbon effect on the steering wheel and the dashboard. Now, it's not like the carbon fibre detailing you might see in a supercar. It's far more discreet than that, and it's more interesting too. It's sort of a different sort of textile-like woven finish. People perhaps aren't letting me out from between parked cars as often as they do when I'm driving my own car. Maybe that's just me, maybe I'm being a bit self-conscious. And I'm not in West London where they're two a penny. It's worth talking a little bit about just what a success story Rolls-Royce has been over the last 10 years. They recently had a change of boss, but the former CEO, Thorsten Müller-Ottfoss, he transformed the company. In just 10 years, it went from BMW's side project, in a way, into this giant of luxury motoring. The average age of a Rolls-Royce buyer fell dramatically in that time. It's now down from the mid-50s to I think the low 40s, the early 40s in the BMW group. So that's BMW, Mini and Rolls-Royce. Of those three manufacturers, Apparently, Rolls-Royce has the youngest average age buyer. The way this car glides along, it's just fabulous. There's that magic carpet ride feel to the suspension. It just flattens speed bumps and potholes, but equally impressive is the way it coasts. You lift off the accelerator and it just glides along. And the way the accelerator works, the way the throttle pedal engages the engine, it's so well calibrated. And even though this is the more attainable of the Rolls-Royces, it's still got all of the trinkets that we know and love. I've still got in here the starlight headlining. I don't know if this one has the shooting stars optional extra, but yeah, we've got a night sky above my head. Of course, we've got the backwards opening, the rear hinged doors at the back. They contain a pair of umbrellas that deploy, Rolls-Royce branded, of course, and I believe the pocket that they tuck into is heated, so it'll dry out and not rot when you put it back in there after a rain shower. And there's the Spirit of Ecstasy there on the front of the bonnet. Eleanor, that was the name of the model that the artist used to create the original sculpture. She can be shown or put away somewhere in the menu system. It really does pick up and go when you accelerate. That took me by surprise a little bit, actually. I was a bit concerned that there might not be a gap in the traffic, but no, you put your foot down and it very quickly finds the right gear and you're off. It's so quiet in here, it's so hushed. I barely need to raise my voice, and I'm sure you can hear me just fine. I could just carry on this road, get on the ferry or the train, get into France and just keep going. Could have lunch in Paris, dinner in Monte Carlo. What a day out that would be. It's indicating just over 400 miles of range from what I think is a full tank, almost full. That's okay, isn't it? 400 miles. In the UK, that's probably about 8 hours of driving, so plenty. Sufficient, I think Rolls-Royce would say. I suppose the question you would ask if you're not, used to owning Rolls-Royces is, could you daily one? Would you take the kids to school in it? Would you do your shopping in it? It's got a massive boot. I think if you're an ultra high net worth individual, as is required for Rolls-Royce ownership, then yeah, maybe. It wouldn't be the most unusual car in the school car park, I wouldn't have thought. Get used to the size of it. You'd probably only go places where you knew you could comfortably park it. And I suppose the other question about Rolls-Royce ownership or potential ownership is, would you have someone drive you about? And I don't think you would in the Ghost, especially the black badge Ghost, because it's seen as a little bit more engaging. I don't think you'd be chauffeured around all the time though. That's for Phantoms, isn't it? That's for the bigger Rolls-Royce. For the Ghost, yeah, it's your family car, isn't it? It's your golf club car. And I think if I lived in that upper echelon of society, I think I'd want one. Would I want one more than a Bentley? Yeah, if I could afford one. The badge has so much value, doesn't it? There's so much cachet to saying you've got a Rolls-Royce. As Mark Bolan sang, I drive a Rolls-Royce because it's good for my voice. I like to think what he meant by that was, because it's so quiet in here, you don't need to shout and not strain the old vocal cords. I've decided what this car is. It's a mobile spa. It's a sanctuary, a retreat, a way of just getting away from it all and being in this little, quite large bubble. Everything's so quiet and so serene almost. And I think I had this realization when I had some music on earlier. Now, obviously I can't play any because of rights issues, but the sound systems in modern Rolls-Royces are just phenomenal. Not really sure who makes them. It just says bespoke on the speaker grille, so who knows. Wafting along on a quiet motorway, and I just thought, wow, this is pretty relaxing. This is nice. This is almost better than having to drive somewhere. It's like the whole point of doing that is just to be there and to experience the car. It's not even about going somewhere. I want to subscribe to it. I want a Rolls-Royce subscription where I just get 2 hours in a car every month. Another thing as well, it's all in the details with Rolls-Royces. I know you've got the umbrellas and the rugs and the starlights and all that, but just things like the weight of the steering wheel, the weight of the indicator, the weight of the climate controls here. It's all just so nice. It's beautifully engineered and there's just lovely damping to everything. It feels quality, as you'd expect, These things are cheap. 200, 300,000 pounds if you get greedy with the spec sheet. Right, so put it into low mode. That should make it a little bit more sporty. I did this earlier actually, and it drops a couple of gears, the revs pick up, and then if you floor it, It rises like a boat and then it goes. It's pretty quick. For a heavy car, it must be close to 3 tons. But it gets up and goes. And I noticed earlier as well, actually, the gear changes when you're really accelerating hard, like joining a motorway. The upshift is pretty violent, like surprisingly so. It gives you a real kick in the back. Quite good fun. It's like your posh, well-read aunt can actually breakdance, or your butler can rap. Kind of fits the vibe though, doesn't it? The black badge vibe. It's a little bit more stealthy, a little bit more it is a little bit sporty, I suppose. It gets up and it goes. I suppose I should do some pros and cons. We'll start with the cons. Yeah, it's expensive, it's really big, it's a little bit ostentatious. You feel a little bit self-conscious driving it, but maybe that changes if you get a little bit older, or if you dress differently, or if you drive in the more upmarket parts of town. It's probably quite difficult to park in a multi-storey car park, but then how often is a Rolls-Royce going to go to one of those? Let's just get onto the positives. It's magnificent in almost every way. Rides beautifully. The interior, you could criticise it and say it's actually getting on a bit now, because it's been the same basic interior for a really long time, but it works. The screen is still great. The new digital dash in front of the driver looks cool. You've got CarPlay, it's all you need really. Yeah, it's a BMW system, it's iDrive basically, but so what, that works well. Buttons are nicely laid out, the fact that we've got buttons is welcome, of course. It's surprisingly easy to drive. It's not at all intimidating, not the way you'd expect it to be. It's wonderfully comfortable. I know, I've driven these cars great distances before and they are just sublime. It's all very good driving and saying how lovely it is up here, but you can get in the back and then it's even more comfortable. You can see the starlight headlining properly. You can have your massage seat on, heated or cooled. You can have, I don't know if this car has them, but you can have picnic tables and TV screens back there. I don't know if this car has one, but you can have a fridge. You can have a storage area for a bottle of wine or champagne, flutes, and a whiskey decanter and tumblers. And the configuration process with Rolls-Royce, it's almost limitless. This car, I know it's got a bright red interior, but it's actually quite subtle as far as Rolls-Royces go. If you really get stuck into the bespoke customization options, you can really go to town. And I think that's why Rolls-Royce customers do come back again and again. In fact, I heard a story once of a Rolls-Royce customer who, if you asked him what his primary hobby was, he would say it's customizing Rolls-Royces, and he does one every year. And he keeps all of them. What I especially like about Rolls-Royces is all the trinkets, as I mentioned earlier, you know, the starlight headlining, the wool rugs, the umbrellas. I was showing my mate earlier, and it's always a wow moment. When you press that button in the door and the umbrella pops out, it just makes people smile. They're like, oh, that's so cool. Yeah, I know you can get it in a Skoda Superb, I know that, but yeah, it's a surprise and delight moment. Another positive, I know I said the interior is perhaps, it's not looking dated, but it's looked the same for a long time. I think a benefit of that is every Rolls-Royce you get into, they kind of broadly feel the same. They look very similar on the inside. They work in pretty much the same way. Obviously the Spectre's a bit different being electric, but it's still, you know, all the switchgear is very, very similar, very recognisable. And I quite like that about them, because you just get in and you know where everything is, and you know how everything works. You know that the lights are down there and the gear shifter's here and the temperature controls are here. Well, I think that's just about it for the Rolls-Royce Black Badge Ghost Series 2. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked this video, please click that like button. If you've really liked it, click the subscribe button. Loads of you have done that so far. We're really pleased to see how much the channel has grown in just a few weeks. There will be plenty more videos to come, so keep subscribing, keep liking, and I'll see you on another video very soon.